Barron Trump's unexpected move at a restaurant shocked everyone. Was it a simple act of kindness or something much deeper? Watch what happened next. The scene opens in an elegant, high-end restaurant. Soft, classical music playing in the background, chandeliers glowing overhead, and an atmosphere of quiet sophistication. The restaurant is buzzing with wealthy patrons chatting and laughing, completely absorbed in their privileged worlds. Among them walks a waitress, her uniform slightly wrinkled, her face flushed with stress as she struggles to balance trays and deal with demanding customers. Enter Barron Trump, dressed sharply but not overly flashy, just enough to draw attention without seeming intentional. He walks in quietly, his tall figure noticeable but his demeanor calm and reserved. He's there for a casual meal, but soon his attention shifts. Sitting at his table, he starts observing the waitress from afar. The exhaustion on her face, the rude remarks from customers she endures, and her relentless effort to keep everything moving. Little did the crowd know that this unassuming young man, often associated with wealth and status, was about to change the tone of the entire evening. What started as just another stressful night for the waitress would soon transform into a moment none of them would forget. A moment that left the entire restaurant stunned. The waitress, named Emily, is working tirelessly through her shift. The restaurant is packed with high-profile guests, many of whom seem to treat her as if she's invisible or insignificant. She's visibly stressed, her ponytail slightly coming undone, and her shoes scuffed from endless hours on her feet. Balancing a heavy tray in one hand and a coffee pot in the other, she darts between tables, trying to manage multiple orders while keeping a polite smile plastered on her face. Emily encounters a particularly rude table. A group of well-dressed guests who criticize her for bringing water that's not cold enough. One of them snaps their fingers at her, demanding immediate attention. Despite their condescension, Emily apologizes softly and hurries back to fix the issue. Her frustration is evident in her hurried movements and the slight tremor in her hands, but she hides it behind a facade of professionalism. At another table, she's accidentally bumped by a patron's arm, causing a glass to tip over. The customer sighs audibly and rolls their eyes, muttering something under their breath. Emily quickly cleans the mess, apologizing again and again, though it clearly wasn't her fault. A colleague offers to help, but she shakes her head, insisting she's fine, determined to make it through the night on her own. Meanwhile, Barron Trump, seated at a corner table, notices Emily's struggles. He watches her interactions, noting the disrespect she endures and the sheer effort she's putting into her work. While the other patrons seem oblivious, Barron's expression turns thoughtful, almost empathetic. It's as though he's processing the weight of what she's going through in real time. Little does Emily know, her hard work and quiet resilience have caught the attention of someone who's about to turn her night, and perhaps even her life, around. As the evening unfolds, Barron continues to observe Emily from across the room, his expression becoming more introspective with each passing moment. He watches as she moves swiftly between tables, balancing heavy trays and offering polite but strained smiles. The room is filled with the chatter of high society, but Barron's gaze never strays too far from her, sensing her exhaustion and the quiet frustration she's holding in. He notices the way she's treated by some customers, snaps of impatience, dismissive gestures, and even the subtle mockery in their tone. The way her face lights up when she makes a positive connection with a guest feels like a fleeting victory, yet he can't help but see the larger picture. The hard work, the unappreciated efforts, and the emotional toll it takes. What strikes him the most is when one of the guests at a nearby table interrupts Emily's attempt to balance multiple orders, berating her for the smallest mistake. Barron's brow furrows. He can't comprehend the lack of compassion these people show to someone who's simply doing her job. He watches as Emily takes the criticism quietly, her shoulders slumping slightly, but she doesn't react. She keeps moving, focused and professional, masking her frustration with a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. As the evening wears on, Barron's growing discomfort transforms into something else. A quiet resolve. He's used to being in the spotlight, but in this moment, he feels deeply moved by the unfairness Emily is enduring. There's a part of him that knows he's in a unique position to do something about it. to offer her a gesture of kindness that might make a difference in this otherwise cold, indifferent setting. Finally, as the dinner service begins to wind down, Barron makes a decision. He stands up from his seat, his usual calm demeanor shifting to something more deliberate. He walks towards Emily, taking a deep breath as he approaches her table. She doesn't notice him immediately, absorbed in a conversation with another customer, but when their eyes meet, something shifts. Barron offers a warm, genuine smile, and before she can say a word, he speaks with a calm, steady tone. "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that you're doing an incredible job tonight, and it's obvious that you're working hard." His words are simple, but they're said with sincerity that cuts through the noise of the restaurant. Emily blinks in surprise, clearly caught off guard by the sudden attention. She's not used to receiving such acknowledgement. There's a brief moment of confusion, but then her face softens, a flicker of appreciation crossing her eyes. She smiles back, clearly moved by the unexpected kindness. For a moment, the chaotic restaurant fades away, as Barron's words land in a way that cuts through the exhaustion and the mistreatment she's faced all night. Barron's quiet act of recognition isn't grand, but it's exactly what she needs in that moment. A reminder that there are still people who see her, who appreciate her, and who are willing to stand up against the injustice of indifference. And for Barron, this small but meaningful gesture is a decision he knows he won't regret. As Barron's words hang in the air, the restaurant's bustling atmosphere seems to pause for a split second. The noise of clinking silverware, conversations, and laughter softens, as if the room itself is waiting for Emily's reaction. She stands frozen for a moment, unsure of how to respond. In her years of serving in high-end restaurants, she's never received such direct, genuine recognition. It's rare for anyone, let alone someone of Barron Trump's stature, to show her such kindness. For a brief moment, she stares at him, her thoughts clouded. It's as if a floodgate opens, and she suddenly feels both seen and understood. She's always worked hard to blend into the background, to go unnoticed, because that's what her job requires. But Barron's simple yet profound acknowledgement has broken through that wall of invisibility. Emily's face softens, and her shoulders, which had been stiff with the burden of the night, relax. She smiles, genuinely this time, her eyes twinkling with a mix of gratitude and disbelief. She's not used to this, not from anyone, let alone someone who's always in the public eye. It's an act of kindness that stands out like a beacon in the midst of an otherwise cold, transactional environment. I don't know what to say," she says, her voice catching slightly as she finally speaks. There's an almost vulnerable quality to her words, a reflection of how deeply this small moment of recognition affects her. Barron nods, his expression calm, but his eyes convey a quiet empathy that speaks volumes. He's seen what she's endured tonight, the judgment, the dismissive glances, the harsh criticisms, and in that moment he's offering her a brief escape from it all. But then, just as Emily begins to process Barron's unexpected kindness, something more unexpected happens. As Barron turns to walk away, a voice from the back of the room calls out, "Hey you, aren't you Barron Trump?" The voice is sharp, almost accusatory, drawing the attention of the entire room. The man who spoke is one of the high-rolling customers seated at the far end of the room with a group of similarly wealthy individuals. There's an edge to his tone, an underlying sneer. Barron doesn't flinch. Instead, he turns to face the man, his posture straight, his expression cool and collected. "Yes, I am," Barron replies, his voice even but firm. He doesn't let the sudden attention rattle him. He's used to the spotlight, but this moment feels different. He's not just Barron Trump, the son of the former president, but Barron, a person standing up for what's right. And the way he responds is a subtle yet powerful message in itself. The man at the table doesn't know what to make of Barron's calm demeanor. "Why are you talking to a waitress? Don't you know who you are?" He sneers, his words dripping with disdain. The restaurant falls into an awkward silence. The other guests look around, sensing the tension. Emily stands still, her heart pounding in her chest, unsure of what's going to happen next. Barron, however, doesn't back down. He locks eyes with the man, his expression hardening slightly. "That's exactly why I'm talking to her," he says, his voice steady and unwavering. "Because I know she's a person, just like the rest of us, and she deserves respect." The words land with a weight that no one in the room expects. There's a collective gasp from the surrounding tables as the entire atmosphere shifts. The power dynamics in the room, usually defined by wealth and status, suddenly feel irrelevant. Barron's words challenge the norms of privilege and entitlement, confronting the unspoken hierarchy that places people like Emily, like so many others, at the bottom. The man at the table, clearly not accustomed to being called out in such a direct manner, stammers for a response, but Barron has already turned away, his attention back on Emily. "Keep doing your great work," he says to her with a smile, before walking away without another word. As Barron moves through the room, the ripple effect is immediate. Whispers fill the air, and the guests who had once seemed so preoccupied with their own conversations are now watching, silently processing the unexpected turn of events. The message is clear. Barron Trump, the son of one of the most controversial figures in modern American history, has just delivered a powerful lesson in empathy and respect for all people, regardless of their social status. For Emily, the world feels different in that moment. It's as though the weight of the evening has lifted, and in its place is a feeling of pride and dignity. She's no longer just the waitress. She's been seen, heard, and respected. And that in itself is a remarkable gift, a gift that she will carry with her long after the night ends. Barron's act was unexpected, not because he didn't have the ability to make a gesture of kindness, but because it was so simple yet so profound. In a world that often focuses on grand gestures and public accolades, it's these small, personal moments of connection that truly leave a lasting impact. And in this instance, Barron's unexpected act has not only left Emily stunned, but it has also shifted the atmosphere of the room, leaving everyone to reflect on what really matters. As Barron Trump's final words echo through the room, the air feels charged with an energy that wasn't there moments before. The initial shock of his confrontation with the wealthy guest still lingers, but it's soon replaced by a sense of admiration and disbelief. The crowd, which had been murmuring with whispers and glances, now stands still, captivated by what just transpired. It's not every day that someone of Barron's stature openly challenges the norms of social hierarchy, especially in a public setting like this. Some patrons, still processing what they've witnessed, exchange glances, unsure of how to react. It's not every day that a member of the Trump family steps out of the spotlight to make such a bold move. There's an audible shift, like a collective breath being held. The elegant ambiance of the restaurant seems to hang in the air, as if time itself has slowed. The first to break the silence is an older woman sitting at a nearby table. Her eyes widen, and a small, appreciative smile spreads across her face. She leans towards her companion and whispers, "Did you hear what he said? That was something different." The man at her table nods, his expression thoughtful. "Respect. You don't see that too often." The woman's words are simple, but they carry weight, marking the beginning of a shift in the room's atmosphere. What was once a place for casual dining has now become a moment of reflection, a place where even the wealthiest diners are forced to reconsider their assumptions about privilege and status. At another table, a group of younger guests who had been laughing and joking just moments ago now find themselves sitting in stunned silence. They look at Barron as he walks past them, his demeanor calm, unfazed by the tension he just created. Their expressions shift from curiosity to respect. "He didn't just stand up for her," one of the young women finally says, breaking the silence. "He stood up for everyone." The others nod, quietly agreeing with the sentiment. There's an unspoken acknowledgement that what Barron just did wasn't just a defense of one waitress. It was a defense of basic human dignity. In the back corner of the restaurant, another table of guests, who had been more skeptical of Barron's presence from the start, now look at him with a mix of surprise and admiration. One of the men who had earlier made disparaging comments about Barron's background is now visibly shifting in his seat. The expression on his face tells the story. He's been caught off guard by the unexpected act of kindness. It's a rare thing when someone is truly challenged in their beliefs, especially when it comes from someone they least expect. Some people, however, remain reluctant to show their support openly. They're unsure how to process Barron's words. After all, they've grown accustomed to a world where wealth and influence dictate the rules. But even the skeptics can't ignore the ripple effect Barron's words have had. Slowly, the murmurs in the room start to change. The tension that had hung in the air just moments ago begins to dissipate, replaced by a sense of unity, a recognition that Barron Trump's actions have sparked something meaningful. As Barron makes his way to his table, a few heads turn to follow his progress, and there's a subtle shift in how he's regarded by the people around him. The air feels lighter, and the patrons, who had once been content to stay within their own worlds, now seem to connect more deeply with each other. People who had once been hesitant to make eye contact with the staff now find themselves offering small nods of recognition and appreciation to the waiters and waitresses walking by. It's as if Barron's gesture has begun to change the atmosphere in the room, encouraging everyone, whether they're seated at a table or standing in the background, to see each other with new eyes. Emily, still processing the moment, takes a breath, finally allowing herself to feel the relief that had been building inside her since Barron's intervention. She looks around the restaurant, and for the first time that evening, she feels a sense of empowerment. The other waitstaff, too, seem to stand a little taller. It's as though Barron's act of kindness has given them permission to expect respect and dignity, regardless of their position in the restaurant or their role in society. From across the room, the manager of the restaurant watches the scene unfold. He's seen many celebrities and high-profile individuals walk through the doors, but none of them have left such an impression. Barron's simple yet powerful act of standing up for someone else has set a new tone for the night. The manager, recognizing the change in the atmosphere, gives a subtle nod to one of the waiters, a silent acknowledgement of the shift that has taken place. As the evening continues, the crowd's reaction is clear. They've been moved. Some may have initially been surprised by Barron's actions, but by the end of the night, they're left with a new perspective on the power of empathy and the importance of standing up for others. The conversation has changed. The culture of the room has changed. And the lesson is clear. Sometimes the most profound impact can come from the simplest gestures, like acknowledging the humanity of others, no matter their status or position. By the time the evening comes to a close, the mood in the restaurant has shifted dramatically. What started as a typical night of fine dining has transformed into a moment of reflection and unity. The patrons, the staff, and even the people who had initially doubted Barron are now united in a shared sense of admiration. They've witnessed something rare, something powerful, and they can't help but carry the lesson with them. Barron's unexpected act for Emily has not only left the crowd stunned, it has changed the entire atmosphere of the evening, leaving a lasting impression on everyone in the room. As Barron Trump's unexpected act ripples through the restaurant, it doesn't just affect the people in the room. His gesture sends shockwaves beyond the restaurant's walls, creating a chain reaction that reverberates throughout the wider community, online platforms, and even reaching the media. The idea that a young man, typically under the microscope of public opinion, could take such a bold stand in an impromptu situation begins to spread. What was initially seen as a simple act of kindness soon transforms into a much larger conversation about privilege, empathy, and standing up for those who are often overlooked. The first signs of the ripple effect are seen almost immediately after the restaurant scene. As the patrons finish their meals, word of Barron's gesture begins to spread. Social media, as expected, picks up the story quickly, with people capturing the moment on their phones and sharing it on platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The image of Barron speaking out for the waitress becomes a viral sensation as users from all walks of life express their appreciation for his actions. Memes and posts flood timelines, some lighthearted, others more serious, Karens, discussing the power of empathy and the need to challenge societal norms that allow certain groups to be marginalized. At first, some comments are skeptical. Critics argue that Barron, being the son of a wealthy family, might not fully understand the struggles of everyday people. They claim that his gesture, while admirable, is just a one-time stunt designed to gain favor with the public. However, Others are quick to counter these claims, emphasizing the courage it took for Barron to use his platform and voice to stand up for someone in a vulnerable position. One user tweets, "Doesn't matter where he comes from. He showed a lot more heart than some people who claim to be for the people." Soon, news outlets catch on, with coverage of Barron's actions appearing on a variety of platforms, from major newspapers to smaller independent blogs. The story is picked up by media networks, who discuss not only the details of the incident, but also the implications of Barron's act for the wider public. Political commentators weigh in, with some expressing surprise at Barron's mature approach to the situation, while others continue to question his motivations. But regardless of the angle, the story grabs attention, pulling Barron into the spotlight in a way few would have predicted. The ripple effect isn't confined to just online discussions. It starts to infiltrate real-world conversations as well. In offices, schools, and community centers across the country, people begin to talk about the incident, asking themselves what it says about class, privilege, and how we treat those who serve us. Some argue that Barron's act highlights the need for a more inclusive and empathetic society, while all others suggest that it's just a small step in the right direction for a more unified culture. But no matter the opinion, the story sparks conversation and self-reflection about societal norms and how people treat each other. In Barron's world, the ripple effect starts to shape his own life as well. As the story grows, the pressure intensifies, with the young Trump increasingly under the public's watchful eye. The act of kindness, which once seemed like a spontaneous moment of empathy, begins to be framed as a part of Barron's evolving public image. Media outlets and individuals alike start speculating about what his gesture might mean for his future. Some view it as the beginning of a new era in Barron's public life, a chance to build a reputation not solely defined by his family name, but by his actions and his character. Others, of course, continue to raise questions, analyzing every word and move Barron makes, debating whether his kindness was genuine or just another carefully planned PR move. Meanwhile, the ripple effect continues to inspire others. Social media campaigns pop up, inspired by Barron's gesture, encouraging people to be kind to those who serve them. Hashtags such as "Stand Up for Others" and "Kindness Matters" start trending, encouraging people to share stories of their own acts of compassion. Schools and organizations take note, incorporating discussions about empathy and respect into their curricula, hoping to cultivate a generation that will prioritize kindness over status or wealth. One particularly poignant example comes from a local school where students, motivated by Barron's actions, create a Pay It Forward initiative, focusing on acts of kindness for those working in customer service or hospitality. The idea quickly spreads to other schools in the area, where students raise funds to support waitstaff, delivery drivers, and other essential workers who often face public mistreatment. Barron's single act has sparked a movement, one that highlights the simple yet profound impact of standing up for others, no matter who they are or where they come from. In the political sphere, the ripple effect reaches even further. Political analysts begin to debate the implications of Barron's actions on the Trump family's public image. Some suggest that this act may humanize Barron in a way that softens the public's perception of the family, which has often been a target of harsh criticism. Others argue that it's just a blip in an ongoing narrative, overshadowed by more pressing political issues. Still, the fact remains that Barron's decision to stand up for someone else, without any apparent gain for himself, has left a mark on the national consciousness. Through it all, Barron remains relatively silent. Though his act of kindness has inspired so many, he doesn't seem interested in the spotlight. His decision to speak out in that moment wasn't about garnering praise or attention. It was about doing what felt right. And as the ripple effect continues to spread, Barron's quiet humility and sincerity shine through, making his gesture all the more meaningful. As the weeks go by, the narrative of Barron's unexpected act becomes more than just a momentary news story. It becomes a symbol of something larger, the power of empathy, the importance of standing up for others, and the lasting impact one small act can have on a society. Barron Trump's unexpected act of kindness serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of empathy and standing up for those who often go unnoticed. In a world that frequently emphasizes power, wealth, and status, his simple yet profound gesture of supporting the waitress teaches a lesson that transcends societal divisions. It's a lesson that resonates far beyond the immediate incident, urging us to consider how we treat others, especially those who serve us daily. The primary takeaway from this moment is the reminder that kindness does not require grand gestures or public recognition. It's about doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Barron, in that split second, saw someone in need of support and chose to act. It didn't matter that the waitress was just another person in a crowded restaurant. What mattered was her humanity, and that in itself was enough for Barron to make a difference. The ripple effect that followed his action highlights how a single moment of compassion can influence a larger community. From the viral social media posts to the real-world conversations sparked in offices and schools, Barron's act has initiated a broader conversation about the role of empathy in society. It challenges us to reflect on how we can integrate more kindness into our daily lives, regardless of our background, wealth, or status. Furthermore, the incident underscores the importance of using one's privilege for good. Barron, a member of a prominent family, holds a position that many would consider powerful. However, instead of using that privilege to elevate himself, he used it to elevate someone else. It's a subtle but critical reminder that true leadership isn't about asserting dominance or securing personal gain. It's about lifting others up. The lesson is also a call to action. It encourages viewers to examine their own behavior and ask themselves, when was the last time I took a stand for someone who couldn't defend themselves? It asks us to reflect on the small, everyday moments where kindness can make a difference. Whether it's standing up for a colleague, helping a stranger, or supporting those who work behind the scenes, Barron's gesture reminds us that everyone has the power to make a positive impact, no matter their age, status, or circumstances. Ultimately, Barron's act teaches us that acts of kindness have the potential to inspire others and create a chain of goodwill that can spread far beyond the initial act. His decision to stand up for the waitress may have been small in the grand scheme of things, but its impact is immeasurable. It's a lesson in compassion, integrity, and the quiet power of doing what's right. In a world that often feels divided, Barron's unexpected act serves as a poignant reminder that a little kindness can go a long way in uniting us all.